and it's incredible to know the difference you're making in a human being's life.
I know that it got me my first job because my first chief of staff was actually an MPA graduate.
I think Dal was really ahead of its time and continues to be ahead of its time in the MPA program.
I got to prepare a cabinet submission and then got to go to cabinet. I was hooked.
I've had so many opportunities to influence change, it's hard to just identify one.
The public admin program provided me with a lot of really basic skills and understanding how government worked, but I also think it taught me how to be patient.
Things that I contribute to that I would be most proud of it would be in the Nova Scotia School for Adult Learning.
I volunteered to spend a year in Afghanistan, supporting our mission abroad.
I want society to be better.
The program affords you to develop the kinds of skills that the public service really needs. Skills in analysis, skills in thinking, skills in writing, skills in having a perspective.
They taught you how to think, how to do the analytical side of the public service, but also how to raise up and think conceptually about what government does and how it ought to approach what it does. David Stewie taught me how to write a one-page briefing note, which you might say, well, so what? But being concise and on topic and doing it quickly is actually really hard. It's hard to write something short that's complicated.
My training in the MPA program really gave me a wide overview of how we govern ourselves in large organizations. So courses in human resources, accounting, public finance, economics, statistics, all of the courses you don't think you're going to actually use, you do use. And I find that I actually use my base understanding that I've gained through the MPA in all the work that I do in assessing whether or not we want to make major infrastructure investments.
When you go into government, it's quite different than working in a business. You really have many interests to work with. You have, social elements. You have economic elements. You have security. You have political imperatives. Certainly strong lobby groups in different areas, and so it really helps provide that grounding that you can use as you move forward.
And it really gives you the 360 view of the way that good government works. I'm not sure that I could have had the jobs that I had without my Masters of Public Admin.
I learned how to manage time. I learned how to work with people. I mean, you're just thrown into group work and group project after group project. So you learn to work with people who have different perspectives, different ideologies, different priorities. And when you go to the workplace, it's the very same way.
The MPA program is a mix of law, policy, and politics. It's a great course for folks who want to know how government works and how a policy is developed and how it impacts the lives of Canadians.
When I graduated from Dal, I went to work for the World Bank. It's a very competitive place to get into, and they were highly impressed with my Dal MPA. And I know that there are hundreds of applications that they look at, especially in political staff. We know that with the change of government, there was thousands of applications for some of these jobs. So it's really being a differentiator. At some point, as you go up that ladder, a master's degree is a requirement.
I think it's one of those careers that is recession-proof, because citizens and governments will always exist. So if you have that kind of qualification, you can work for the local government, provincial government, federal government, and even global. Personally, right now, I see myself as a global policy analyst.
Engage with your fellow students, engage with your professors, engage with the courses, because there's so much to learn. And you're going to do much better if you know everybody and support your fellow classmates and allow them to support you.
So here I have two photos of some of the most amazing people I've met through the MPA program while I was at Dal.
The value from the graduate degree is teaching you how to expand the way you think teaching you how to make a network of people who have like interests and who are going to go on and be in the similar field as you, and building that network. I rely on my MPA network on an ongoing basis in my current job.
I have to say now, the colleagues that I met, the classmates that I connected with early, they're still my friends, and many of them mentors and have been colleagues all the way through.
It really helped make my transition to Ottawa easier because there was a large contingent of graduates from the year before my year and the year after that were moving to Ottawa either for careers or for internships. And that immediately gave me a sense of family because I knew like 45 people as soon as I started here.
Over the course of years that I went on a part-time basis, I also developed a network of people that are still my network today. So it was an opportunity to sort of grow my perspective on the work that we were doing, challenged my way of thinking about the work that we were doing, and also grew a network that I could rely on into the future, and I hope that they've been able to rely on me.
So many people, so many people. The ones both here and away, your classmates are always easy to connect to, whether they're locally around or they're across the country, it doesn't matter, the connections remain.
I took away some lifelong friends who have ended up being both friends and colleagues and connections, as they say these days, or networking opportunities.
So in my second year, I was the chair of the Atlantic Conference on Public Administration, which for me was a phenomenal opportunity. I got to meet with deputy ministers who were interested in the conference. I got to sort of talk about fundraising with a number of partners, including Deloitte, my current employer. It was a great opportunity just for networking too. I ended up meeting at the conference my future boss here.
I would definitely recommend anyone who wants to do an MPA, come and do it at Dal, because it's a great experience, and the connections they have in the province here and in Ottawa will be everlasting.
Our students go out and work in this institution. They shape it, they defend it, they characterize it, they develop it, and they serve Canadians. And wherever they are in their jobs, or whatever rank they have, they're making a huge difference.
Literacy was something that really happened in basements and church halls, and what we did through the Nova Scotia School for Adult Learning was actually formalize a way that people could take their learning no matter where they had left high school, or if they had to return to learning for whatever reason, and they were able to enter that all over the province and be able to progress through so they could get their high school diploma. And in Nova Scotia, at any one day, there's 4,000 to 5,000 people that are currently in the Nova Scotia School for Adult Learning that are upgrading and making their lives better. And one of the great impacts, of course, is when adults return to learning, they're able to support their children.
Certainly here, I've had so many opportunities to influence change. It's hard to just identify one. With this particular organization now, it's been the ability to take it to a new level and to help people with disabilities get ready to move to the community where they should be, instead of in a large facility.
I've been fortunate. I've worked on a lot of files that touch average Canadians, but I think the one that I'm most proud of is my team was instrumental in securing a compensation package for thalidomide survivors, people whose mothers took the drug thalidomide and as a result experienced significant physical issues. And it was through the work of my team and others in the public service that those individuals received a compensation package that is ongoing and should sustain them into their old age.
We had a great initiative over the last year or so where we've
invested some money in employment support for individuals with disabilities in communities across the province. Some of the stories coming back from that are really awesome. Some folks who only expected to do some skills development who are actually out in the workforce and getting some paid employment. Some folks who thought maybe they'd get some part-time employment who are in full-time employment now and are looking at potential independence from a disability support program altogether. Yeah, so that's been a really great initiative.
I was working in admin before I went to my MPA. I served in Afghanistan from 2010 to 2011. I volunteered to work in our mission abroad, and I received a medal for it. So that was a big achievement for me. Thanks to my diploma, I was able to go back in global affairs and work in mission security, who are the people responsible for protecting our embassies abroad. And after I'm done with this little guy, I'll be going back there.
I think my proudest is coming to Glooscap, my own home community, and helping the Chief and Council implement their vision and seeing that come to life. So there was no Economic Development Corporation when I started here. There is now, and we're doing some really good work here on Glooscap Landing. You can see some of it starting. We also are expanding our commercial fisheries division. We're getting involved in renewable energies. And the purpose is to provide employment for our community members and profits to our community.
Primarily the work we've done in the fisheries and the improvements in the fisheries. And today it generates in excess of $100 million a year annually in our communities and generates over 700 jobs, 1,700 jobs every year in our communities across Atlantic Canada. It is having a very significant impact in our communities, and it's built a can-do attitude.
At the start of my career, I was most proud about being involved in things that had a major impact, that changed the lives of perhaps hundreds of thousands of people, or the trajectory of communities, or environmental regulation. I find myself at this stage in my career, where I'm an executive, a leader, that the more direct interactions have a much bigger impact. So the impact that my leadership has on the people I work with, on the faculty and staff in the university, the way that our relationships in the university work to support the communities we serve, I find that that's what I'm most proud of now.
The chance to contribute to Canada's ocean sustainability is a pretty personal thing for me. When I think about the future of the planet, I've been privileged to travel across the globe and looking at the future of the planet, our blue ocean, our blue economy, how we treat our species. It's as fundamental as it gets.
So far, I guess my proudest achievement is helping with the Treasury Board submission for the RADARSAT Constellation mission. We were able to get approval for an $850 million project. One of the benefits of RADARSAT Constellation mission is that we're able to see across Canada, which is really big, and we're able to monitor our coasts for security. We're able to look at flooding, for public safety, and we can also look at different changes in the landmass in development, and so it helps with our economy as well. And a big part of it was explaining to our ministers, why was this important, why would we spend the money, and how it benefits Canadians.
I feel like I'm able to, for example, get on public transit and really feel the impact of my work. I'm also able to really see, I see the impact day to day, right? All municipal meetings are held in public forums, so it's harder to get things through, but yeah, the things that you work on are actually openly debated, and that's actually really quite exciting.
One of my proudest moments was when I was with the municipality of Gander, and I was able to take a compensation study which had been previously denied by the municipal council on 2 occasions, to review that compensation study, to provide additional research to it, to present that back to the municipality and have that approved, which brought the municipal staff's wages up to current market practices.
I became a bridge analyst, essentially, and worked on 2 major bridge projects that were done as public-private partnerships: the Gordie Howe International Crossing in Detroit-Windsor and the new Champlain Bridge in Montreal.
Well, certainly the one that I'm most proud of was to be able to afford the opportunity to be a part of the creation of Nunavut. And part of setting up Nunavut, a very major part, was to allow the pathway for the people of Nunavut, the Inuit, to regain their culture and their language. It was difficult work, but exceedingly rewarding work.
In 2014, we were all sitting around the table at NATO. I was sitting behind the minister, and all of a sudden somebody burst into the room, ran over to the Secretary General, and we had to suspend meetings because Vladimir Putin had just invaded Crimea. And so once we got that news, the minister turns to you and says, what are we saying, and what do we do next, and what do we know? Both humbling and relatively important, and sometimes scary.
Because of the federal government's response to the Syrian refugee crisis, Nova Scotia resettled 1,500 Syrian refugees, and the small part I played in that, saving lives. It was about saving lives and changing people's lives and giving people the opportunity to find a new home and to find safety and to find a community that was ready to welcome them in Nova Scotia. And that, the work that we did, all of Nova Scotians did, but the core team of planners did, will stick with me forever.
I grew up in a small town where community was so important, and so many people I knew, my parents, everyone around me volunteered and gave back, and you can see the impact that that has on people who you're helping. So sometimes you may not know it at the time, but then down the road you'll see that what I did here really had an impact.
I've been incredibly fortunate because over the years I've been involved in such a great variety of different initiatives and different things that have changed policy and have helped people. So I can remember working at the province and bringing in the first low-income tax reduction that helped low-income people. And when I switched over and came to the municipality, they also had a policy, and we set about changing that one. And I remember walking into our customer service center one day and one of the clerks stopping me and saying, you know that change we made? There was this lady in here, and she was so thankful because she said it made so much difference to her ability to kind of get by and to pay the bills. So you see things that make a change.
It's the voice of African Nova Scotians. I think making that voice more aware and stronger in government. This group was not getting heard, was not being served properly by government. And now, you know, there are many departments that are coming to us and saying, you know, we want to reach out to the African Nova Scotia community. We want to reach out to this group that has not been traditionally served, you know, adequately by a department. It's been wonderful to see that people are feeling more comfortable you know, accessing government. I want society to be better, and at times government has to be that agent for change and advancement and progress in our society.
Turn right onto Sulphur Street.